Stephanie Jenkins is spiraling, and it's not just a little frustration, it's a complete meltdown. Everything she thought she had under control is slipping away. Why? Because Deshawn, the boy she treated like her own, spent a full weekend with his biological mom, Desiree, and now he's calling her mom. That one word sent Stephanie into an emotional tailspin. After years of blocking, controlling, and trying to erase Desiree, her efforts are unraveling fast. Let's unpack the emotional, messy truth behind Deshawn's weekend with his real mom and the internet fallout that followed. After more than 3 long years apart, years filled with pain, tension, and legal battles, Desiree finally achieved something she had been praying and fighting for, a sleepover visit with her son Deshawn. This wasn't a simple process. It was filled with delays, disagreements, and constant emotional push and pull, mostly because of Drew, Deshawn's father, who made the situation even more difficult. But Desiree didn't give up. She stayed consistent, pushed through every setback, went through every legal hoop, and finally got her son back, even if it was just for the weekend. But this wasn't just about spending a couple of days together. No, it was much more deeper than that. It was about reconnecting. It was about beginning to repair something broken. It was about giving a child a chance to truly understand who he is and where he comes from, not from someone else's story, but from the real person who gave birth to him. Desiree didn't take this weekend lightly. She planned something meaningful. She joined forces with Alita, Drew's first baby mama, and her son, who is Deshawn's biological brother. These boys share a father, and now they were sharing time, space, and smiles. Desiree and Alita took them out for an exciting family trip to an amusement park. And for Deshawn, this wasn't just fun. It was magic. It was something he had always wanted. He had asked Stephanie for this type of outing many times, especially begging to go to urban air, and she had always made excuses. Sometimes it was money, sometimes it was timing. She said she was saving up for housing. Whatever the reason, it never happened. But this time, Deshawn got what he wished for, and from someone who followed through. For the first time in what probably felt like forever, Deshawn got to just be a kid. He wasn't crammed into a motel room with 6 other people. He wasn't playing with a worn-out sprinkler in a dirty parking lot, pretending it was fun. He wasn't limited to the same 4 walls or forced to create joy out of nothing. Instead, he experienced real joy, real laughter, real freedom. He rode rides, he ate snacks, he walked hand in hand with family. He bonded with his brother. He smiled, laughed, and explored a world that had been kept from him for far too long. And most importantly, something inside Deshawn shifted. He began to feel something powerful: safety, love, connection. So much so that he called Desiree Mom. Not just once, not by accident, but with intention. And that small word, so simple but so huge, carried a weight that sent emotional shockwaves straight through Stephanie's world. Because for Stephanie, that one moment shattered the illusion she had, the illusion that she was the only mother Deshawn needed, the illusion that she could erase Desiree from his life. That word, mom, meant everything was changed.
So I've heard flipping around that Desiree and Deshawn had a pretty good weekend. But of course, little Miss Jenna and Stephanie are going to try and push out Stephanie's narrative. Because if Deshawn does well outside of Stephanie's home, then that just adds gasoline to the fire that Stephanie set in her own household. Stephanie, at 30 years old, you should know that building a foundation off of lies does nothing but crumble.
Stephanie has never hidden her envy. In fact, she openly confessed it at one point, admitting that it made her feel bitter and frustrated watching Deshawn receive thoughtful gifts from his biological mother, Desiree, while her own children got nothing. But instead of using that moment as a wake-up call to reflect, to try and improve her own parenting, or to foster healthier co-parenting dynamics, she took a different route. She chose to shut the door. She blocked Desiree. She built walls instead of bridges. It wasn't about boundaries. It was about control, about removing any trace of Desiree from Deshawn's life so she could claim full authority over him emotionally. But here's the thing about truth. It doesn't stay buried. And love? Love doesn't obey block buttons. It reaches beyond restrictions. It finds cracks in even the thickest walls. Deshawn's bond with Desiree didn't just survive against all odds, it began to grow. And now, Stephanie is watching the one thing she tried to control slip right through her fingers. What she thought was a firm grip on Deshawn's world is crumbling before her eyes. And instead of sitting with that, reflecting, or healing, she's chosen another familiar path: retaliation. Not through open conversation, not by owning up to her role, but by lashing out in silence, using others as her mouthpiece to continue her crusade.
So when do you guys think the crash out's going to happen?
Okay, so I personally think, this is my theory, it's going to happen, there's multiple instances that I think can cause her to crash out. First one, having to pay for housing. Second one, Drew having to pay full child support for Arlena's son and we're going to jail for it. Third one, Deshawn staying away from her for like a night or a weekend, or Desiree maybe getting full custody. And the fourth one, her views consistently going down because she is becoming less relevant than her first video that she posted that got her viral, because like I feel like people are getting tired of her content because there's no improvement going on. So
like clockwork, Stephanie didn't speak out herself. She let her right-hand woman, Jenna Vanerdrop, do it for her. Jenna took to social media with stories that felt more like deflections than facts. She said Deshawn didn't want to stay with Desiree because he doesn't have a bed there. She said he didn't have clothes or toys.
So I have spoken to Stephanie. I know people want an update about the Deshawn visit with Desiree. What we know is that Deshawn was very adamant about not wanting to go. He did not want to go there. He didn't even want to do the visits. He does not have a bed there. He does not have his own clothes there. We did see that Desiree decided to go live the very first night she took her son and continue to post her Cash App and plug donations, which is why she has made her account private. She doesn't want anybody else to be able to see her begging, just her followers and her subscribers. So, like I said, Stephanie seemed very worried about Deshawn. I think everybody's just kind of worried mentally how he's going to do. Like I said, there's no bed over there for him. There's no toys. He doesn't know the little boy or the boyfriend / husband or whatever. And again, mom was just on TikTok the first night. So like I said, it's very clear what these people are doing with this boy. They are going to use him, exploit them, get as many donations as they can, and then they're going to drop him back off with Drew and Stephanie. She's made it very clear she does not want full custody. She just wants visits. And let me be clear, while we know the PayPal money is not gone, and there are still funds in that PayPal reserved for her attorney, Desiree has not received that money. And it's not sounding like Desiree will receive that money. It's sounding like that money will either be refunded or set aside for the council. And since particular people are trying to now, shy away from speaking about Desiree, but they're still willing to post this, it would leave to say that I would believe it would mean they're no longer Team Des and they're just trying to defend themselves. Yeah. Good luck with that, guys. Have a wonderful day.
But let's take a breath and look at the truth, because facts matter. Desiree has already shown proof in court, solid, documented evidence that Deshawn has his own bedroom at her place. Not just a mattress on the floor or a borrowed corner, but an actual room with a bed that belongs to him. She has pictures, statements, and legal backing to prove it. She has also made sure he has what he needs: essentials like clothes, hygiene products, and access to actual activities that kids should be enjoying. Now compare that to Stephanie, who lost all her kids' belongings in a storage unit auction. That's right, the very storage unit where their clothes, toys, and personal items were kept was sold off for just $4 because they failed to pay the bill. So when Stephanie and Jenna try to point fingers about whether Desiree has toys or clothes for Deshawn, it comes off as completely hypocritical. How can someone who couldn't even hold on to the belongings people donated for their kids be in any position to criticize? And then Jenna went further, accusing Desiree of going live to beg for money, claiming she's using Deshawn to get donations. But again, Desiree has been completely open about needing financial support for her legal fight to regain custody and visitation rights. She never pretended otherwise. And here's the difference. Desiree has actually shown where the money went. She posted receipts, court filings, and even shared the names of the professionals being paid. Stephanie, on the other hand, hasn't shown us anything. No receipts, no breakdowns of where funds go, no explanation of how she supports all the kids in that motel, no proof that Deshawn or any of the children are thriving in her care. Just more cramped motel walls, loud chaos, and broken promises to take the kids somewhere fun, promises that never get kept. So when we look at the bigger picture, it's clear who is actually putting in the work to take care of Deshawn, not just perform motherhood online. The facts speak louder than gossip, and Desiree's actions are showing up stronger than any accusations thrown her way, trying to smear Desiree again. This wasn't Jenna's first attack, not even close. She has been the go-to mouthpiece whenever Stephanie needs someone to launch an indirect assault. With Stephanie pulling the strings from behind the scenes, Jenna resurfaced to stare old, baseless claims. She once again accused Desiree of abandoning Deshawn in the past, a story that has been debunked time and time again. Then, she escalated the attack by bringing up the GoFundMe donations, insisting Desiree misused the money intended for legal fees. But here's the thing, when the accusations started flying, Desiree's advocate didn't waste time. She came forward with legitimate documents, legal records, receipts, and proof that the funds were used to retain a qualified attorney. These weren't vague screenshots or second-hand rumors. This was verified, court-recognized paperwork. Still, Jenna wouldn't back down. First, she demanded receipts. When the receipts were provided, she shifted her argument, saying they weren't detailed enough or claimed they raised even more questions. It didn't matter how much transparency was shown. Jenna was never looking for the truth. She was looking for ammunition.
Last night, so probably look slightly different. It seems like people are confused about how did I refund donations if I didn't have access to the GoFundMe. The money I'm referring to are donations that I took on behalf of Desiree to my PayPal, my Venmo, my business. And the reason I did that was because when we were needing the consultation fee, when we were needing any of the money for the lawyer, it was not clear about how quickly that money was going to get released to Desiree. So we sort of panicked, we being the person who organized the GoFundMe, who also did not have access to any of the information about disbursement. Not only could she not change any of that information, she couldn't change who the beneficiary was, she couldn't add a beneficiary. She set it up in March, again, long before I posted anything about this account. And I think at that point, but I don't know for sure, at some point, Desiree set up her account to disperse those funds to her.
And when the noise she created started losing traction, Jenna disappeared, like she always does. No follow-up, no apology, no public acknowledgement that the information she spread had been proven false. Just silence. This is her pattern, and by extension, Stephanie's too. Accuse loudly, push a narrative, demand more and more until the truth becomes inconvenient. Then, quietly fade into the background when it all collapses. Stephanie may not speak the words herself, but she's always there in the shadows, letting others take the hit for the chaos she enables. Now that Deshawn has found comfort, joy, and emotional safety in the presence of his real mom, Desiree, Stephanie seems to have hit panic mode. Almost overnight, she switched up her online content. Suddenly, she is sharing a video of herself making baby food for her 7-month-old, trying to paint the image of herself as the ultimate hands-on, nurturing mother. It was clearly a calculated move, one that appeared more about image than actual care. In the video, Stephanie claimed she was mashing up food by hand because they didn't have a blender. Then, almost as a throwaway comment, she casually mentioned that they do own 2 blenders. They are just in storage.
My girl's already been eating strawberries and peaches separately. She may have got that from me, but I think peaches might be her favorite fruit. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but these peaches are going out of season so quick this year. I swear we've had like one good month. Maybe that's just for the yellow peaches though, because we switched to the white ones and they're doing okay still. All right, like I said, I threw everything in a pot and then I added like half a cup, maybe a cup of water. Gotcha. Y'all probably really thought I was that stupid that I was going to put honey in here. But I did know she wasn't going to go for it if it even tasted just a little bit bitter, so I wanted to add just a little bit of sweetener. I did half of this 1/8 cup of sugar, so it was barely any sugar. I let it boil until everything was soft enough for me to mush like I was just showing. And then I brought a whisk and I wanted to finish the process outside because it was just really nice outside. And right as I sat down to do this, my baby boy wanted to come up and give me some loves. It was just so sweet. Also, quick update for those of you that have been wondering, this little guy is saying some words. He's saying dada, hello, hi, as well as he gestures at things and makes the beginning sounds of words that you can tell he's going for. And try to remember before you judge, not all kids have the same timing. We applaud all of our kids for their accomplishments. I was so fixated on mushing up this food, I didn't even realize how awful this angle was for me. And no, I'm not pregnant. I'm just currently rocking a mom bod, but I wanted to mix this up and get it a little less stringy than this. I mean, I feel like that stringy texture is going to throw anybody off, baby or not. Whisking got so out of hand here, I accidentally flicked some in my mouth, but hey, it wasn't so bad. It actually tasted pretty good. And yes, this was my weird ass reaction to it because it threw me off. All right, definitely not the best color and a bit time consuming, and all for nothing because the baby didn't even end up liking this one. But that doesn't mean I won't try again. And also, I'm by no means perfect. Occasionally, I do pick up organic baby food from the store for my baby, just for those busy moments when she's fussy and I need something quick. But honestly, I don't expect this girl to be on a puree diet for very long. I think she's going to transition into solids really fast. All right, later that same day, I just smushed up a strawberry and peach, and she ate this up. And go ahead and judge me for my baby practicing her standing right next to the TV. I don't give a damn. You're going to judge me for anything anyways. And on that note, my baby girl is so close to standing without holding on to anything. I'm so proud of her. I really feel like she's going to be walking before 9 months. All right, if you made it this far through the video and you're not already following me, what you doing? Thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all. Bye-bye now.
But here's where that statement falls apart. That very same storage unit was reportedly sold off months ago at auction for only $4. This wasn't just speculation. Drew's sister confirmed it. So the question remains, does the storage unit actually exist? Or is Stephanie saying that just to avoid accountability and deflect criticism? That contradiction might seem small, but it matters. It speaks to a larger pattern of twisting facts and dodging responsibility. If she's not being honest about where the blenders are, how much else is she not being honest about? And then there is the way she made the baby food. Instead of preparing it in a clean kitchen or even on a sanitized table, she sat outside, on the bare ground, mixing everything in a pot placed right on the dirt. That alone raises major hygiene concerns. But it didn't stop there. She added sugar to the mix. Sugar for a baby under 1 year. Pediatricians everywhere warn against giving babies added sugars at that age. It's not just frowned upon, it's considered unsafe and unnecessary for a baby's development. To top it all off, Stephanie made a joke about adding honey, knowing full well, or at least she should know, that honey can cause infant botulism, a serious and potentially deadly disease. Babies under 1 should never be given honey, and even joking about it on camera sends the wrong message to anyone watching, especially young or impressionable mums. Altogether, this mothering moment she shared felt less like genuine care and more like a staged act, an attempt to rebrand herself just as Deshawn finds someone else to look up to. For someone who wants to come across as the trophy mom, Stephanie continues to make choices that are not just questionable, they are downright concerning. Stephanie didn't stop there. She tried to keep up the image shift by posting an update about her toddler, saying he's finally starting to say a few words like dada, hi, and hello. She used this moment to warn people not to judge his speech delay, insisting that every child evolves on their own timeline. But here's where it gets frustrating. Stephanie is the very person who's been suggesting, sometimes outright stating, that her son might be on the autism spectrum. She said it multiple times publicly, yet she hasn't taken any meaningful steps to confirm it through medical evaluation. No doctor's visits, no speech therapy, just claims, deflection, and vague explanations. What makes this worse is that viewers have been genuinely concerned. People in the comments have repeatedly encouraged her to seek professional help, not in a judgmental way, but from a place of care and urgency. They've asked her to look into early intervention services, speech therapy, and even just basic checkups. But instead of taking those suggestions seriously, Stephanie often fires back defensively. She says people are judging her or being too harsh, even though the advice has been thoughtful and consistent. Meanwhile, her toddler continues to be shown in worrying situations. He's often seen wandering around alone, playing in dirt or parking lots without supervision. One of the most shocking moments, he was spotted on Google Maps outside the motel, alone, standing in the parking lot. That's not just a lapse in judgment, that's a major safety concern. To counter this criticism, Stephanie tried to pivot again, this time by giving his teddy bear a bath. She filmed the moment, even used her daughter's voice in a voiceover to create an emotional feel. But viewers couldn't ignore what the video really showed. A toy that was filthy, stained, and clearly hadn't been washed in months. This was the same teddy bear her toddler clings to daily, the same one he likely chews on or even sleeps with. Stephanie wanted the moment to show she's a caring, involved mom, but it felt more like a PR cleanup. Because real care isn't about washing a toy when people start talking. It's about consistently providing safety, hygiene, and emotional support every day. The truth is, this isn't care, it's image control. It's an attempt to rewrite what we've already seen with our own eyes. But viewers remember. We remember the clips of Drew yelling at the toddler during a live stream. We remember that little boy alone, outside, vulnerable. We've seen him playing in unsafe spaces with no one around. And we remember the lack of clean clothes, the oversized shirts, and the dirty face, and the silence from Stephanie when people asked questions. So now, when she suddenly shows interest, it feels too little too late. Because giving a stuffed bear a bath on camera doesn't erase the real concerns that have built over time. This new act doesn't clean the slate. It just makes the disconnect more obvious. The donation drama. Dulcie speaks out. Then there is the money drama, the GoFundMe, the PayPal donations, the legal fees. It's been one big storm of confusion. Desiree's advocate, Dulcie, also known as Rights and Rights, went private after being doxxed. But now she's back, trying to set the record straight. She said clearly she never had access to the GoFundMe. That was Desiree's. But donations through Venmo and PayPal? That's what she managed, and she refunded anyone who asked. She broke it all down, at least. That's what she claimed. According to Dulcie, she sent Desiree $990 directly to help with legal fees, paid over $245 out of her own pocket for consultation costs, and refunded the rest of the money to anyone who requested it. She said the total amount raised across PayPal and other apps was $2,523.67. To cap things off, she explained that she issued the final check to Desiree for $547.15, meant to help cover July expenses. But despite her breakdown, many people watching were left with more questions than answers. The math didn't quite seem to add up. In fact, leaked messages from Dulcie herself, messages that circulated in group chats, showed her previously stating that all of the donation money was already spent. That directly contradicts the later claims that she had money left to send in the final check. The inconsistency made followers uneasy. And it wasn't just online sleuths raising eyebrows. Alita, someone who has been closely tied to Desiree and the case from the beginning, stepped in to say that the figures Dulcie had shared with her personally didn't match with what was being shared publicly. According to Alita, the numbers were off, and not by a little. To be completely fair, Desiree herself hasn't thrown any accusations Dulcie's way. She only acknowledged what she received. But the way Dulcie re-entered the conversation, coming in strong, defensive, and ready to justify, gave many the impression that there was more going on behind the scenes. It felt less like clarification and more like damage control. Dulcie has since said she is working on another video to provide even more details and receipts, hoping to clear up the confusion once and for all. But for now, the cloud of uncertainty still hangs over the whole donation situation. The very effort that was supposed to uplift Desiree and support her legal journey has turned into side drama of its own, one that's left followers split, confused and wondering who they can really trust. Where it stands. Right now, Desiree is still private. She's made the intentional decision to retreat from the noise. Not because she has something to hide, but because she's finally choosing. When your life becomes the center of non-stop drama, every comment, every post, every accusation begins to chip away at your mental and emotional well-being. So Desiree did the healthiest thing she could do. She stepped back. And honestly, who could blame her? She's been dragged through the mud, painted as a villain, accused without proof, and had to defend her motherhood at every turn. After all that, her silence doesn't feel like hiding. It feels like strength. It feels like boundaries. And more importantly, it feels like victory. Because in the end, she got what truly mattered, her son. Meanwhile, Stephanie is unraveling in real time. Her carefully curated image as the stand-in stepmom is falling apart. What was once framed as selfless motherhood now appears more like obsession and insecurity. Every post, every defensive comment, every attempt to prove she's the better mom seems more desperate. Instead of sharing in Deshawn's joy, she's focused on regaining control. Instead of encouraging his healing, she's panicking about her own relevance. And that's the difference. While Desiree is building connection with her son, Stephanie is scrambling to protect her narrative. But here's the truth. Stripped of spin and speculation, Deshawn is thriving. He's smiling in ways we haven't seen before. He's making memories that matter with people who love him for who he is, not what he represents. And most importantly, he's experiencing a kind of love and comfort that he's never known. He's found consistency. He's found peace. He's found something real with Desiree. Something that can't be faked, manipulated, or replaced. A sense of home, a sense of belonging, a real mom. Now it's your turn. Has this situation spiraled beyond what you imagined? Do you think Stephanie is crashing out because she can no longer control the narrative? Or is it deeper than that? Is it the fact that Deshawn has finally chosen love, stability, and truth over manipulation and confusion? Has her grip on this child, one she tried so hard to replace his mother for, slipped beyond repair? Let me know your thoughts. Is this Stephanie's downfall or just her next act of damage control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear how you see this playing out. Who's showing up for Deshawn and who is just playing the part when it suits them? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to stay updated. Because trust me, this story isn't just dramatic, it's unraveling, and we're just getting started.